Hey agents, and welcome to Shadow Gaming. So today I got another build video for you guys that I think encapsulates the entire run and gun thing that I really love to do, and I think a lot of you other agents like to do. But before I get started, I definitely want to let you guys know that about 60% of my viewers are not subscribed to the channel. So if you enjoy the content, go ahead and subscribe. It's free, guys. Alright, so just to get started off, I know that this build can be improved on, and if you guys have any thoughts or anything, send it in the comment section below. I always like conversating with you guys, and it's not only enjoyable and fun to talk with you guys, but also I like to get tips and stuff for all these builds and whatever else in the Division 2. So go ahead and comment below on whatever thoughts you have. So let's get this started with the specialization. So for the specialization, I run the survivalist for this. It's a run and gun build, and there's a lot of things that make this build better because it's a run and gun build. And one of those things is the 10% increased protection from elites. You're always going to be up in the NPC's face with this, so you're going to want to have that protection from elites. Also, you're going to have 15% increased outgoing healing, which pairs really nicely with the Mender Seeker Mine. So you want to unlock those as quickly as possible. And also the Incendiary Grenade, which burns all the targets in the radius. And to top that off, you get 10% bonus damage to targets with status effects as well. So you can create a status effect for the enemies and then burst them down. You just have to be careful of fire. Like always, it kills really quickly, so don't get too close to them. Otherwise, you also get 5 ammo per second while your current weapon while performing a cover to cover in combat. This is great because this build, you're always doing cover to cover and vaulting, jumping around all over the place. So you're going to end up with a lot more ammo than you might realize. And then of course you get 10% skill haste while you're in cover, so that's another reason. I run SMGs, shotguns, and assault rifles in this build, so that's why I have 15% increased damage for those weapons. Alright, with the specialization out of the way, let's get started with the weapons, then the gear, then the skills. But I want to let you guys know some core things about this build that make it what it is, so let's get started with the Lady Death first. With the Lady Death, we have the Breathe Free talent. When moving, gain 4 stacks per second or 8 stacks of sprinting up to 32 stacks total. Each round fired consumes a stack, amplifying damage by 75%, and kills grant 20% movement speed for 10 seconds. You're going to be running around a lot with this build, and since you're running around, you're going to usually have that 8 stacks of sprinting up to 32 stacks total. Even if you're just doing cover to cover, you're going to get that 4 stacks per second. This increases your damage by so much, amplifying damage by 75%, and it shows when you're gunning those NPCs down. And I'm sure this build works amazing in PvP, especially with that Foundry Bulwark meta going on right now in Title Update 10. This is definitely a good build to run. Now, second, we have the shotgun. This is great when you're in a bind. You have close and personal, killing a target within 7 meters grants 30% weapon damage for 10 seconds. You're almost always going to be within 7 meters of an NPC or player when you're using this build, and it does 1.5 million damage on the custom M870 MCS. This is my go-to shotgun. I like it more than the automatics for some reason, probably because it has such a high amount of burst damage, and that's what you're going for in this build. It's not about sustained damage, it's all about that burst DPS that just bursts those NPCs or players down as quickly as possible so you can move on to the next one. Alright guys, for the pistol, it's whatever you want. I put strained on this PX4 Storm Type F. It doesn't really matter, you'll never really use your pistol. Alright, so in this gear set, I have 2 Walker Harrison Co., 3 Providence Defense, and 1 Ninja Bike Messenger pads. Now I've seen other people running this with Badger Tough for the shotgun damage, which I don't like. I've also seen people running it with a few pieces of Sokolov Concern for the 10% SMG damage, and I believe the 15% crit hit damage, which is good. And if you guys want to comment below and let me know if you enjoy having Sokolov Concern more than having Providence Defense. I personally just like Providence Defense more right now, but if I can put together a Sokolov build, I will check that out as well. For right now, this build is doing amazing solo and in group, so I'm just going to stick with what I have right now. Starting with the mask, we have the Breathe Easy Mask, Walker Harrison Co. You get 5% weapon damage and 5% damage to armor. They're all rolled with weapon damage, crit hit chance, and crit hit damage. One of them has health on it on the gloves, but I couldn't get a better roll at the moment, so that's what I would choose. Now you're going to run mostly damage on this build, but for the backpack, we got the Matador. I did roll this with 170k base armor for the core attribute. I like having a little extra armor for this build. It makes a difference, for sure makes a difference. The only thing I would change right here is I would change that explosive resistance to either crit hit chance or just health or armor regeneration. Otherwise, this would be a great stats for this build, especially if they were all maxed out. Now, I'm running this because of the core attribute of armor, and also, most importantly, because of perfect adrenaline rush. If you guys want to do this build as well, I would also run adrenaline rush if you can't find a better matador backpack. Whenever you are within 10 meters of an enemy, you gain 23% bonus armor for 5 seconds, and it stacks up to 3 times. Now, that's about 70% bonus armor for 5 seconds, and with this build, you are always going to be within 10 meters of an enemy, so it's important that you have the perfect adrenaline rush talent. Alright, next up we got the chest piece. We got the counter force vest for Providence defense. We got headshot damage, crit hit chance, and crit hit damage. This is really important to have the weapon damage. And right here, I would have taken the headshot damage and skill haste for crit hit chance and crit hit damage. And on all three, the mask, the backpack, and the chest piece, I would always run crit hit damage as the mod. But I run this because of Intimidate. While you have bonus armor, it amplifies total weapon damage by 35% within 10 meters of an enemy though. So you have to make sure in this build that you're always getting aggressive with the NPCs or players. If you're within 10 meters, you're going to have 25% bonus armor from the Ninja Bike messenger pads when you're doing cover to cover and vaulting. And you're going to have that extra almost 70% bonus armor from Perfect Adrenaline Rush. And when you have all that bonus armor proc, you'll also get that weapon damage amplified by 35%. That is extremely important that you have Intimidate on your chest piece. It makes a world of difference. For the holster, I'm running Providence Defense third piece, 15% weapon damage, crit hit chance, and crit hit damage. This is exactly what I would run. I got pretty lucky with that drop. I just wish they were a little bit higher. For the gloves, I'm also running weapon damage, crit hit damage, and I'd rather have crit hit chance or a maxed out health bar. Otherwise, this is what I have. You could run Sokolo Concern and get that 10% SMG damage and 15% crit hit damage, but I keep getting rainbows with this build. I think maybe I would switch this out, take the skill damage off, and put on crit hit damage, and I think that might actually make a difference, but I'll lose 15% crit hit damage from the third piece, and I don't really want to do that. It does add 10% SMG damage to it, which might make it a little bit better, but that's up to you guys. And then lastly, I have the Ninja Bike messenger pads. You can farm targeted loot for knee pads to find these, but it's very important you have them because they're a DPS exotic. You get the weapon damage, crit hit chance, and crit hit damage on it. And most importantly, you get parkour, the talent. Performing a cover to cover or vaulting, reload your drawn weapon and grant you 25% bonus armor for 5 seconds. I didn't even know when I first got these that you can perform a cover to cover and get that 25% bonus armor and reload. I thought that it was only vaulting over stuff, but it turns out you can do cover to cover and it does the same thing. And cover to cover, you get this massive damage reduction when you do cover to cover and you're getting shot at. The enemies are so bad when you're doing cover to cover. Your damage that you take is significantly reduced when you're getting hit from cover to cover. So it's important that you do that in DPS anyway, but this build just gives you so much incentive to always be doing cover to cover or vaulting. And when you have that 25% bonus armor, then you get Intimidate to activate. And when you're getting closer to the enemy, like you always should be with this build, you're also getting that Perfect Adrenaline Rush, almost 70% bonus armor. And you have 170k armor as a core attribute on the backpack, so you're always going to have quite a bit of armor. And that's really important when you're getting so close to the NPCs. You want to have some backup. You want to have some extra armor so you're not dying so quickly. And for the skills, I'm running the Revive Hive in case things get horrible. And then the Mender Seeker Mine, which comes with the Survivalist specialization. And of course, you want to run all of the specializations on here. You want to run Skill Haste, that 15% health, and then that 15% healing. Now, this works a lot better instead of the Repair Drone, so I would always run this instead of the Repair Drone. And then the Revive Hive, of course, because any DPS site, you always want to have that Revive Hive just in case. Well, guys, that's going to be pretty much it for the build video. If you enjoyed the content, please subscribe and like. If you didn't, a thumbs down. About 60% of my viewers are not subscribed. If you want to help the channel and get updated on targeted loot, build videos, discussions, all sorts of Division 2 dedicated content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you like the content, give it a thumbs up. Next up, I'll have some gameplay footage of this build in action. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Shadow Gaming, signing off.
Signs 0. Progress. Laptop detected. This must be the last of them. Take them down, Agent. Got more where that came from. Assistance needed. Enemy on the flank! Throwing an EMP! Good work.